Welcome back, guys. In today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make this fitted ruffle dress.
So step one, looking at the dress, we see it's a pencil dress with no cut at the waist. So with your full basic bodice pattern like this, you go to the hem of your full basic bodice pattern, and then you go in by how much you want. Maybe for me I would go in by between 1.5 and 2 inches. So you can go between that level. Then you connect back to your hip level right here. So if you notice any sharp points at this part when you connect to your hip, you just kind of blend it in right here. So before we continue, just in case you don't know how to draft a basic bodice pattern, please check out the video tutorial right on top of your screen to find out how. Now the neckline of the dress is a V-shaped neckline, so I'm just going to draw in a V-shaped neckline. So I'm just going to draw in a V-shaped neckline to represent that. So to do that, you can chop off like maybe 2 inches from your shoulders, and then for the neck depth, you decide how low you want the neck to be. So for me, I'm just going to stop right at this point here. Then you use your French curve to connect with a curved line like this. And that's that for the neckline. So really that is all. So all you have to do is just trace or cut it out. Cut your V-shaped neckline out, and then you cut the side also out this way. So you add a 1/4 inch allowance right here, 1/2 inch for the shoulders, 1/2 inch for the armhole, and then 1 inch for the side. So yeah, you cut on your fabric. Then we move straight to the statement ruffle around the neckline side. So I'm not going to illustrate how to draft the back. The back is also basic. You can decide to also use this V neckline for the back, or you use your normal basic back neckline. So, and then you also do the same pencil hem for the back also. And really that is all. Your V neckline is, you can pick a little dart here if it is like really wide, but if your V neckline is not wide, you can just leave it like that. So for me, because it's a little wide, I just picked like a 1/2 inch dart around here, just like you see here. So this is it. So now I'm just going to cut this on my fabric right now, unfold. So this part will be the part unfold. Now for the neckline ruffle part, I'm going to measure round my neckline like this. Whatever I get, let me measure. So whatever you get when you measure your neckline, you multiply it by 3, depending on how much fabric you have. If you have like a lot of fabric to work with when you want to make this dress, like typically if you want to make this type of dress for yourself, you would need maybe like 3 yards of fabric. 3 yards of fabric should be enough. So if you have up to 3 yards of fabric, when you measure what you have on your neckline, then you multiply it by 3, because you're going to be gathering our ruffle. So now I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to cut a long strip of fabric that I'll be using as a ruffle for the neckline. Now this is my long strip of fabric. This is it. So once you measure your neckline, you multiply by 3. You get this. So it depends on how wide you want it. So you can use maybe 10 inches when you are cutting yours. So you can use 10 inches. Then also the fabric I'm using, just to get that statement feel, that standing feel for the ruffle, I'm using a damask fabric to illustrate, to show you how to do this. And because it's thick, I don't need any form of interfacing to solidify the fabric. But if you're using like a soft fabric, you can either use a collar stay. So you can cut a collar stay that is the same length and width with this, and then you iron your collar stay on top of the fabric, or you use something like this. This is a crinoline or horsehair. So horsehair braid. So you can get something like this. It has varying thickness too. So don't get the soft one. You can always get the thicker version. So what you do is to sew this onto the hem right here. So by the time you turn it inside, it goes inward here. It goes inward, and then it helps spiral. Your the fabric when you are done. So now I don't need any of those for this now, because this fabric is a damask fabric and is very, very thick. So I don't really need to do any of that. So yeah, this is it. Now also to line this, I'm going to cut. I already cut it though, so this is it. So I cut another. I'm using this as a lining. So I cut another strip of fabric that is the same length. You can see it's the same length, but the only difference is that the width right here is shorter than this one here, and the reason for that is that I want the lining to pull the fabric up, to pull this up inside. So by the time I sew this here this way, and then I go inside this way, I turn it inside this way. So by the time I drag this up to meet this part here, this would be pulled inside. I hope you understand the drift of what I'm talking about. So yeah, that is it. So now what I'm going to do now is to gather up this part here. I'll gather it up, and then I'm also going to gather up this part here. Then once I'm done gathering it up, I'm going to sew both of them down right here. So I'll sew down by 1/2 inch. So by the time I'm done sewing, I'm just going to turn it inside out this way, and then it comes to meet this one up here. So we drag this up to meet this here. I hope you understand what I just explained. So I'm just going to sew that now, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Now this is it. You can see this is what it's going to look like. So they were gathered. I gathered them separately. I gathered this one separately and gathered this one separately. Then lay the both right sides together, and then I sew down by 1/2 inch. And then I did also this part. So once you are done sewing this down, also then you pull the lining up so that you can sew this part, this side, so you get the drift. By the time you turn it, this place is like really neat. So now I'm going to turn it all inside now, and this is what it's going to look like. Then you drag it up. You drag this lining piece up to meet this one. So now all I have to do now is to hold these two together, the lining and the fabric. I'll hold it together, then I'll sew in a gather stitch. You know, we have to gather this back to our neckline, so I'll sew a gather stitch all the way to the end. So before we then attach it to the neckline of our dress. So I'm just going to do that now. So if you were using a crinoline for this, it is at the point when you are sewing these two together, like the first part. So after you gather this and then you gather this, by the time you want to place both together, right sides together, that's when you now place your crinoline on top of this. So you place this right sides together, and then you place your crinoline on top. So by the time you sew it down by 1/2 inch, just like I've done, then the crinoline will now be inside, in between the fabric and the lining. So it will be enclosed inside your fabric like this. Then you pull this up. So yeah. Now I'm just going to gather the upper part, and then I'll show you how to attach it to the dress. And then this is it gathered up. You can see this is the top part gathered up. Now to place it on your fabric, you know you have to cut two. You have to have two of these. So let's say this is a dress. This is my cutter dress. I already have my dart sewn into this, so you can see that. So now if you have this, you place this way, so around the neckline. You know it has to come from the back, so you would have started sewing it from the back. Or even if you want to start from the front, you have to start from the front, like from the center here. So you place this way, and then you begin to sew by a 1/4 inch all the way till you get to your shoulders. So remember, you must have already turned your neckline, like with your facing. That means you must have already finished the neckline of your dress, so everything is neat. So you then place this way, and then you begin to sew like this all the way. So you place this at the intersection here, and then you begin to sew all the way till you get to the back. So by the time you are done sewing, this falls this way. It's going to fall this way, and then you pick up the second one, and then you start to attach also from this point here, the middle of the V neckline, and then you begin to sew all the way till you get to the back here. And that is really all you have to do to this dress to achieve that look. So I'm just going to sew all of this now and pin it onto my miniature mannequin, just so that you can see the fit and how it looks on the mannequin.
And that's it, guys. Please do tap the subscribe button and also tap the like button if you found this tutorial helpful. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.